Hi, Ted Shaw here from the Windsor Star, and I have today the co-chair of BookFest Windsor, Sarah Jarvis. BookFest Windsor takes place primarily at the Capitol Theatre on October 23rd to the 26th. And Sarah's here to fill us in on some of the highlights of the festival. She's brought some books along, and we'll talk about those as well. Sarah, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
BookFest Windsor is in what year now of its history?
It's in its 13th year.
Wow,
yes,
13 years.
yeah. And each one sort of develops its own personality. So this one I'm feeling that it's about legacy, literary legacies and legends, and also about it's a theme is emerging of reportage, of sharing information and sharing writing that makes a difference. That's kind of the sort of theme, the organic theme that's bubbling up this year. Yeah.
And it's a literary festival on all platforms, isn't it?
Yes, yes. We have everything from young children's books to graphic novels to literary fiction. So it really runs, and nonfiction as well, really runs the gamut.
And it doesn't matter if you love to hold a book. I see that Alistair MacLeod is the top one here.
That's right.
We'll talk about that in a minute. Or if you prefer a laptop or a tablet. Most people are reading now digitally. So I guess the book itself embraces so many different formats, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Some people I know, their favorite book, they have it in both formats, so they can always have it on hand. And this is a time for discovering new authors that you might not be familiar with. So people can go and look them up just the way they like. We do have a bookseller on site as well, so that's the University of Windsor bookstore. So people still love that tactile feel of a book, especially at an occasion like this. As Maestro Franz said about the WSO, that you can't beat the live experience, right? So it's talking with the authors and having that lovely, touchy-feely with the books. That's always, people still enjoy that.
Now it takes place from the 23rd to the 26th. The bulk of it is on the Saturday, the 25th.
It's on the 25th, yes.
And
yes.
that's when most of the authors are here to do their readings and book signings.
Although we have a very special event on the 26th too, so yeah.
So tell us about those other events that lead up to it and during.
Right. Well, on the Thursday we have a group of local literary publishers. We call them the small presses, but they're literary publishers. And they came to us with the idea and said, you know, we would just like to feature local publishers, although we usually do as part of BookFest, and just talk about what the scene is like in Windsor for small publishers right now. So there's going to be 5 of them: Palimpsest, Cranberry Tree Press, Rampike, Biblioasis, and have I got them all?
Black Moss?
Black Moss, thank you. How can I forget Black Moss? Yeah, how can I forget Black Moss? The Friday night's going to be a very interesting performance piece run by Carl Jurgens from the University of Windsor, and that's going to be with poet Gary Barwin, who is the writer-in-residence for the University of Western Ontario English Department right now. So that's going to be very interesting too.
And there's a writer's workshop, I believe, called
Yes, there's a writer's workshop on the Thursday night with our partners at the Windsor Public Library, and that's going to be at the Central Branch. So, and there'll be another workshop on the Saturday on October 25th, and that's with Leamington native Richard Scarsbrook, whose new book is just really starting to make headway as well. He writes for young people and adults, but the workshop is for people of all ages to get kick-started with writing.
So it's a festival about storytellers, but also people who want to tell stories.
Exactly, yes, yes. Yeah. So we do have a kind of a master class coming up with our former chair, Lenora Langs, moderating, and that's going to be with Antanas Shalika, Joseph Curtis. Both of them are involved with the Humber School of Writers, and Marilyn Simmons, who is the former head literary artistic director of the Kingston Writers Festival, and they're going to be offering for people who are interested in small presses or in the writing process, and that's going to be a master class about editing and getting your manuscript just to that next stage. So that's going to be interesting too.
Now, at the top of this heap, as I mentioned, is a book by Alistair MacLeod, his famous No Great Mischief novel. There is a very special event happening on Saturday night.
Yes, it's going to be, it's going to be a ceilidh, as we say in Scotland, or a kitchen party. We're bringing in a lot of people. Caroline Addison, who's a former student, his friends Stephen Galloway, Nino Ricci, Antana Shalika, his children are coming as well. And we also have two of them playing music for us. So it's going to be a very relaxed, celebratory time. It's going to be about celebrating his literature. His publisher, Doug Gibson, is going to kick off with a reading and a story. And so it's going to just be a little bit of words, Alistair's words, and then some fun stories from the road with Alistair, talking about him teaching at Humber School of Writing and just the many facets of how generous a writer he was, and in a way his work is still giving.
Now, earlier you and I were talking about a PBS television program years past called The Reading Rainbow, and that was a profile for kids, for young readers, of books that they might be interested in reading. Maybe we can do a sort of a mini reading rainbow for some of these books that you brought in. You can tell us why people should first of all read them, or why they should come out and see the authors.
Well, actually, I'm just going to throw a little curve in here and talk about film first, because we do have an emerging partnership and friendship with the Windsor International Film Festival. So Vincent Georgi is going to be chatting with Christine Brown, who is the first African-Canadian documentary maker in Canada, and she's emerging into fiction. So that's going to be an interesting point. Sean McAuliffe is a Windsor native. He's writing a lot of this book is set in Windsor, writing about the class system, who lines up for brunch, who doesn't. Here in Windsor, we just all sit down for brunch together. It's called The Trouble with Brunch. Yeah, so a nice slim volume from a Windsor native. We have an emerging young adult writer who will also be visiting schools. Giles Benaway is Anishinaabe, and he is a poet and is also writing young adult fiction as well. So he's going to be good. Stephen Galloway, I think we'll see lots about this on the prize circuit for the fall. This is the author of The Cellist of Sarajevo. He's coming on the Red Eye to especially pay tribute as well to Alistair MacLeod. This is his latest book about Harry Houdini, and it's very interesting, so interesting stories. We've got a couple of Detroit journalists coming in from across the United States. They live now outside of Detroit. Scott Martell wrote this biography of Detroit. We have Ted McClelland, who's writing about the Great Lakes, and they'll be with Sean McAuliffe and Wayne Grady, talking about stories that cross the border. And that's with Sarah Elliott, and that will be, I think, a very dynamic session as well. Caroline Addison is going to be featured in our Books and Brunch on the 26th. And she is an award-winning young adult and adult writer who's also a great friend of Alistair MacLeod. Another Red Eye person. A lot of people are really breaking into their schedules to take part and come to Windsor, and we really appreciate it.
That's really what makes the festival unique, doesn't it? I mean,
absolutely.
It has developed a real prestige across Canada, and a name, and people are interrupting their schedules to come down to Windsor.
It's wonderful, and it's a testimony to the people before us who ran the festival, who set it up as a very welcoming place for authors and audience to be. And
I know there's good word of mouth.
And
authors have gone away from here and just, they've been amazed that you can put on a festival of this quality and only charge, what do you pay? What do you charge?
We only charge $20 for the whole day and $5 for students.
I mean, where can
and on top of that, group discounts. Yeah.
Group discounts.
Other lit fests think we're crazy, but we do this for Windsor. Yeah.
And a vast array of books.
Yes, yeah. Another nomination, 2 nominations for Maple Tree Awards, the Library Awards. And this is Christopher Paul Curtis, who's well known locally. Jan Andrews is she's a great children's writer, and this is some of her children's books, and a storyteller. And I'm very excited about her coming. She's very prestigious in the librarians and teacher librarians world, and also with children as well. So I'm thrilled that that's going to be part of that with Giles Benaway. So yeah, it's going to be a very rich session, I think, with everybody involved.
I'm excited about the graphic novel segment. Of course, a few years ago, BookFest Windsor kind of ventured into untested waters with graphic novels. And,
Yeah.
it began life really as a kind of an add-on almost. I wouldn't say it an add-on, but now it is a very prominent part of BookFest.
Yes.
It's actually the event that just precedes the Alistair MacLeod affair.
It does, yes. We have that, yeah, as a featured. And we have a real all-star. Seth is coming, and he does a lot of work with Biblioasis locally, right, and also for the New Yorker magazine. Scott Chandler is also doing sessions for children at the Windsor Public Library. He wrote The Two Generals, which is bestseller, Three Thieves series. He's from Waterloo. Marta Chilinska has just come back from a writer-in-residence program in Ireland, and she works with woodcuts. And then we have an emerging artist called Seg Bingwei. That's the name she likes to use. And she illustrated a book for Biblioasis called The Reasonable Ogre. So I'm interested in that. And Dale Jacobs for the University of Windsor, it's a specialty of his, and also an author about graphic books. He's coming to that. So it's going to be very exciting to see. I've been looking at some of the art, and we're hoping to have a good slideshow behind them as well.
And it expands the audience, potential audience.
Yes, I'm hoping. We are noticing younger demographics coming out, and that's great. And that's why we have a very low price for students, the $5. And I'm just hoping that they come and enjoy meeting authors personally.
Well, Sarah, I thank you for coming in today to talk about BookFest. I want to encourage everybody who sees this to go down to the Capitol Theatre or attend some of the other events outside the theatre. October 23rd to the 26th, and good reading and
good conversation.
Good conversation. That's what BookFest is all about. And if there are some authors that you really want to see, then certainly go down there. One author I'm interviewing, which you will be interested in seeing for sure, is Louise Welsh. She's a Scottish thriller writer, and she is part of the International Festival of Authors tour. And she is going to be here on the Saturday afternoon. And I can tell you, Sarah can certainly agree to this, that it's a wonderful novel, chilling novel, about a London beset by a virus, and with Ebola on our doorstep, it certainly has some.
It's very timely. And a great read. Yes, I'm thrilled that she can come all this way. I love that partnership with International Festival of Authors. Yeah.
So mark that down, Louise Welsh. That's at 1 o'clock, I believe, on Saturday. But all the authors are listening to and shaking hands with and having their books, signing your books. Thanks again, Sarah, for coming in, and good luck with the 13th edition of BookFest Windsor.
Can't wait. Yes, great.